In 1800, Louis Le Hout, my great-great-great-grandfather, married Rebecca Sled in Louisa County, Virginia. Louis's journey to America from France in order to marry the love of his life was a long one. Before he could marry Rebecca, Louis had to fight through a war and lose someone very close to him. In 1780, Louis boarded the French ship La Conquérante for a voyage to America. The ship headed towards the Chesapeake Bay, where the French Navy, led by Comte de Rochambeau, would assist the American colonists in fighting off the British, who had been fighting the Revolutionary War for the past 6 years. After months of sailing on the Atlantic Ocean, Louis's ship finally arrived in America during the summer of 1780. On September 5, 1781, La Conquérante and her crew ran into British ships on their way to the lower Chesapeake to rendezvous with George Washington and his troops for a dual assault on the British-occupied Yorktown. The ensuing battle, called the Battle of the Capes, was filled with cannonballs and musket fire, which resulted in a French victory. The British retreated with what ships they had back to Yorktown, and the French established a blockade that prevented the British from getting supplies needed from the upcoming battles. The supporting fire of Louis and his shipmates from La Conquérante ensured French and American victory over the British. Despite the happy victories, which Louis and his shipmates heartily celebrated, there was an upcoming tragedy he could not have seen coming. Michael Le Hout, Louis's brother, was also on board La Conquérante during the Revolutionary War, and 8 months after their victory at the Battle of the Capes, Michael was killed in combat. Louis's grief over his brother's death was so great during that battle, with tears still in his eyes, Louis jumped with all the gold he owned in his boots. Even after nearly drowning from the weight of the gold in his boots, Louis managed to swim to shore and make his way to Louisa County, and 18 years later married Rebecca Sled. Louis's story reminded me how lucky I am to be alive, as it could have easily been him instead of Michael who died aboard La Conquérante that day. It also surprised me to find such an unconventional story of sea travel in my family history, and I hope I can learn more from my family history in the future.